In this video, you will watch my friend and colleague, Dr. Susan Powers, get very vulnerable, get very real. She's talking about her 40th sober anniversary, and she has decided to celebrate it by essentially doing a fourth step through role play, talking to herself when she was using. And one more piece of self-acceptance, self-understanding, and self-forgiveness so that she can move on with the very happy and successful life she has built. She is an expert in grief, and it is wonderful to see how she does that in her own life. This is Susan and her beautiful personal work that has informed her professional work. You'll also see how I bring in polyvagal work, parts work, and somatic experiencing into basic role play. And that is my special love. Having experienced trauma myself in my family, I, since the 80s, encountering Bessel's work and then making a study of all of these wonderful people and getting to know them personally and how they think and how they created and what inspired it. I have brought them into my work, and the body is keeping the score. Which state are you identifying with now as being the state you're in? And please share a sentence or two about why you're choosing what you're choosing.
I am on the mixed.
Okay. A little more.
A little more from me.
Yeah.
Oh, part of me feels grounded. That's the first thought came to my mind. But then I realized that I have a floating anxiety related. Maybe it seems like it's related to things that are going on outside, but it could be things going on inside. So yeah, it's not fully grounded, and I'm not sure, exactly the other feelings. I identified what the exact nature is in the other.
Beautiful. Thank you. Another.
Yeah.
I feel safe, ventral, familiar, trusting, familiar faces, people, centered.
Thank you, Susan.
I'll second that. I'm going with ventral. I feel very safe and grounded and totally open to connecting with you.
Thank you, Lucille.
I feel I'm in ventral because I feel like a curious student, which I often have a sense of. So I have a healthy anxiety of kind of where's this going to go? What am I going to learn? What's available for discovery? Which isn't an anxious, angry, activated one. It's more curious.
Thank you, Karina.
I would also say ventral with just sort of like a background whisper of both of sympathetic and dorsal, like they're sort of way in the background from and out of an experience I had over the weekend. Yeah, so mostly ventral.
If you could give the background a voice, what might it be?
That was hard and scary.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, mine, it's Sam. Mine would be ventral also, with a little bit of shadow in there too because of other stuff going on. I have some anxiety around my lease renewal not coming in and how I'm going to deal with that. So that has an edge to it, but generally I'm ventral.
Thank you.
Hi.
So, anybody else?
Yep, Lindsay. I would say ventral, but kind of what Laura was saying, almost like there's a low hum of the sympathetic in the background, like some anxiety around some health stuff, like feeling some old symptoms kind of coming to the surface. So I know something's going on physically. But most of me feels like very dropped in, grounded, um, and really like grateful and open to connection.
And I would say other. It's funny, every time I check into this group, it's like the ventral is very prominent because the familiar faces, what other people have said, the connections here, I like being here. I have to leave at 11:30, and part of me is just anxious because I'm not sure that you got that email, and I'm anxious that I can't stay for the whole group, especially that this is what we're doing for the group and I want to stay and I can't. So just very aware of that.
Don't worry.
That's all. Well, I don't want to go. But I think just in signing on, there's like it's nice.
I think I feel a little bit pulled towards maybe I'm not sure or other. I am confused between grounded and stable. Like, am I grounded or am I stable? I know I'm stable, but I feel my heart's beating fast right now. So I can tell that like there's some anxiety moving about. But really maybe overdeveloped like problem solver role, and yeah, just like emails with like clients, parents, and does something to me. I think my pattern is going up into sympathetic and then going back down into dorsal, and maybe missing the window of tolerance sometimes. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's interesting with the tech stuff. I totally notice that I go dorsal. I don't go sympathetic. I go dorsal. I'm like,
Yes. Yeah.
and I thought to myself how calm you are, because I think if it were me on the hot seat trying to do that, I would definitely go sympathetic. Like the tech stuff is not my thing.
I completely trust this group. Anybody else? Just momentary where you are now in terms of moving along.
I just had an interesting sort of connection with the idea, like I was connecting feelings with either sympathetic or dorsal, but realizing that I can be having feelings while ventral, right? Like ventral doesn't necessarily mean happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
ventral can be I'm feeling sad, feeling some other kind of feeling, but it isn't necessarily. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
It feels like regulated, right?
Yeah.
And alive.
Yes.
Connected with emotion rather than activated by emotion.
Say that again.
Connected with emotion rather than activated by emotion.
Beautiful. Ventral is.
I can remain in my ventral grounded self when I am connected with my emotions rather than activated by my emotions.
Thank you.
And I was thinking of ventral in terms of self energy, IFS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to just note that as you said that stuff, my nervous system just settled in in here. I just sort of went calm in there.
Mhm.
Anybody else? So where would you like to go from here? We can do anything.
Would a logical step be to ask who's motivated to be a protagonist or to do some work or whatever, and then that person or people say for a minute or two what they want to work on, and then we, as a group, select.
Sure, that would be very appropriate. Another one would be, is there something you want to do that's specific? Would you like to do a social atom? Would you like to do a timeline? Would you like to do a role play? Sounds great to me. If that sounds great to the rest of you, it's the easiest entry.
You mean like volunteers to work and then pick?
Yeah, who here would like to work on something? It would be the equivalent of stepping up and saying what you'd work on and then a sociometric choice.
I could do a quick thing. I think it would be quick about that. I just turned 40 years sober last week.
Mm.
And just sort of acknowledging that, and here in a group that I've been in so long. And I don't know what it would be, but some kind of bit of acknowledgement of where I'm at 40 years.
Okay, anybody else, or would anybody else like to do something, or would you like to go with this?
Mine is pretty mild, but we got the DNA back from our puppy, our new puppy, and he's going to be significantly larger than the non-existent Chihuahua mix that we thought we were adopting. And so that brings with it a whole bunch of fears of, wow, Barry's going to be able to come to the city even less, because now it's not just two dogs, it's a dog and what's likely to be a bigger than expected dog. And so, you know, how is this going to impact my life from a selfish standpoint of, you know, yeah, but that's a low level wanting to work, but willing to.
Okay.
I haven't worked in a while, and I'm realizing that anyway, I could do a little bit more work on what came up for me over the weekend, which is in a nutshell, recognizing that a lot of my experience as a parent of young kids was on the traumatic side. And
may I suggest we choose among these three? Would anybody feel gypped if they didn't throw in their hat in the ring? Just anybody? I don't want anybody to feel gypped, but so are you okay choosing among these three?
But one of the things that I like to do with an anniversary is like, who were you when you got sober? And
Why don't we move it into action? Because that was your original request.
okay,
Would that be okay?
sure. Well, I would pick someone to be my 42-year-old who was getting sober and so lost.
Okay.
I guess Lucille.
Okay.
And so much of what I feel is like what she said, Laura. But you know, like you're 42, and maybe I should be that person.
yes,
Do you want to reverse roles and show us yourself at 42?
Yeah.
Okay, so reverse roles. Let us know visually that something has changed. And so Susan, here you are at 42. What's going on for you?
I'm so lost and I'm so scared.
Uh-huh.
And I don't have support. I have a drunk husband, and so I'm like a single mother, and I have 2 kids, and so part of me knows I'm okay, but most of me doesn't know much of anything. And I feel well, I don't know how aware of it I am now. If I go like doubling from myself at this age, like I had a lot of spiritual abuse in my religious training, and so much the fear of God, and the fear of sex, and the fear of anger, and like it just totally disconnected me from myself, and so I'm disconnected, and I'm scared, and don't feel like I have any help. I was in Al-Anon for 5 years.
I am in Al-Anon.
I'm in Al-Anon. Well, I left out. Let me think. I left Al-Anon, but I had been in Al-Anon for 5 years.
Sure, yeah.
And when I left my marriage, I left Al-Anon. And I'm so confused. I'm just really confused. And both my kids are in drug treatment. And
At 42, they're in drug, when you're
I'm
42?
42.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you've got kids who are already are in drug treatment?
Yeah, they're both teenagers.
Okay.
And I guess it has something to do with me, but I don't even know. I don't even know how that happened.
May I ask you a couple questions, Susan? At 42, do you drink? Do you use drugs?
Yeah, well, my father was in AA and he was an alcoholic, and he always taught me that it was genetic. And so I got sort of madly in love with marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love marijuana. And I prided myself that I would smoke in front of my kids, with my kids, like it was like a thing of I'm not going to be secretive about it. I'm proud of it. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm just a pothead. And, and that's all the confusion. Like, what? But like an arrogance, like I know what's going on, like I can do things that other people can't do.
So what are some of the things you can do that other people can't do, Susan?
Well, like smoke pot with my kids.
Yeah.
And other people would maybe think that was not okay, but I know it's okay. I mean, people drink with their kids, so I smoke pot with my kids. And I don't protect them from sexuality. We're on a commune, and lots of sex happening all around, and I think that's good for them. And
does this have something to do with that ferocious religious? Are you like reacting to that?
Totally. That was so horrible. And all those nuns and priests, and they're all gay anyway. I mean, they're just not owning who they are at all. And I am owning who I am.
How is this? Yeah, what are you owning?
That I'm like an arrogance. I'm better than anyone. And other people like don't get it. I smoke a lot of pot, and that helps me really get it.
Yeah. Get to those high states of mind and you really see things.
Yeah.
That
Like
it? Yeah.
occasionally. So
Yeah, you see mellow, right?
And I want to let my kids have that. So that's why I smoke pot with them.
Yeah.
I want to switch to myself.
Reverse roles. Okay. Just jog your chair tiny bit, Lucille, so we know you've reversed. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now give Susan a couple of her last lines.
Yeah, I know better than other people. I'm so scared, but I really know, but I don't know. And, I'm high a lot, but I get high with my kids because I think I know how to do that. I think I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you do. Ah, you're so deluded. And now your daughter's suicidal. And and you got to pay attention to that. Your daughter tried to kill herself, and she's 16.
She's in drug treatment, I'm not sure this is really on me.
It's totally on you. And you've given your kids just crazy values, and you're just a wild out of control role model. And it's just when they need grounding and security and safety, and you're all over the place. In 12 step they say careening, you're careening. And
I'm saving them from, all that religious rule. That was, yeah, that was ridiculous. I'm saving them from that.
so I'm trying not to be mad at you, but I really, you have to wake up. And I woke you up.
Tell
And
her how you did that. Tell her how you did that. Tell her where you are now and have come all these years.
you're an addict, and you put your dependency on chemicals instead of people, and you so mixed up. And I've done a good job to wake you up, to bring you up. And right now you're so deluded, I'm having trouble. I'm mad at you actually for what you did to your kids. And at the same time, I have forgiven you. And William is healthy and sober, and he's forgiven you. And he told me, he said, Mom, you have redeemed yourself. And that means everything to me. And I've worked hard to redeem myself. And uh, Chris dies at 32, and and it's tragic. And you definitely had something to do with it. And I've actually forgiven you a lot. And you didn't know what you were doing, and you had that fear of God thing, and you totally reacted to it. And marijuana is very seductive. It's so seductive. And it seduced you. And my life is wonderful now. I have a wonderful life. William is now Bill. and and he's such a great guy. He's such a wonderful guy. I want to say I've done a good job with you. I want to say you've done a good job with me. Like it's okay. It worked. It's something has worked. And that sounds crazy because our daughter died. But radical acceptance, I accept you. I do accept you. And
Something has worked.
you were so deluded. You were really deluded and arrogant. A friend visited, Tom Wasik visited the house last week, and he said, your house is very unpretentious. And I love that he said that, and you're very pretentious. You're a therapist and you think you're so great. And I'm not pretentious. That's the nicest thing someone could say, was like, you're not pretentious. And you were a piece of work. And you're still a piece of work. I'm a piece of work. And my partner Bill and I joke that, you know, that we're both a handful, but I'm a bigger handful. I'm a handful. And it's okay to be a handful if you're paying attention. And that's what I feel. I feel like I'm paying attention. And in the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, they say when someone's dying, tell them they did a good job with their lives. And I've done a good job with you.
Yeah.
And how to really rein you in. And I have, and I love you. And it's like, I want to say you're my a sober daughter, you know, like, and I collect sober daughters. I learned how to be a good parent, but that mother role is a killer. That mother role, boy, is that rough. And I think of Sam, and you don't know what size dog you're going to get. You don't know who you're going to get to parent. And I had all the right feeling. You had all the right feelings for your kids. You loved your kids, but you made a mess of the job of mothering. And that's what happened.
I didn't know what to pay attention to.
Yeah.
I didn't know where to focus. You did that.
Mm. Mm. And I have a big life today. And maybe it doesn't look that big, but it's big inside. And a neighbor just died suddenly at 66 of a heart attack, and Tom and TJ were close to them, and so they came to our house, and they were here for 3 days, and it was so rich, so rich. And we talked about life with how you were too, and it was a very rich life, even though it was sort of out of control and crazy. But to have good friends is everything. And well, you're pretty good at friendship, as crazy as you are. You do connect with people. This is nice because I'm getting in touch with the love for you. You know? You're a good person. You really are good, but you're so mixed up. And you it took your daughter being suicidal to know it. And you got 16 more years with her when you got sober. You had 16 years of up and down and good stuff. And you've healed with your father and your mother. And you never realized what your father had done to get sober until you got sober, till I got sober. And it's pretty damn serious and so beautiful. So I'm going to go with what Bill said. You redeemed yourself.
Say it again.
And you have redeemed yourself.
Say it again.
I have redeemed myself, and you redeemed yourself. And we are knitted together.
You brought me along.
I brought you along. And I've never been happier. It's never been better than this. They say, like, when's the best time of your life? And the answer is now. And it is now. It is now. And it's a pretty wonderful now. It's going to keep getting better. And I'm taking you along. My wild child. So that feels complete.
Thank you, Susan. Do you want to hear some sharing and derolling?
I'll de-roll. I'm Lucille. Not your younger self. Maybe I should just share while I'm here.
Yeah.
In the role, I could feel just unable to touch solid ground, right? I really could feel like, and I also could feel the anger, but I also felt the love. And I try, and then Lucille, I trust you and I love you and I see you as an amazing woman. So yeah, I just celebrate with you, for you. I think you're fantastic. Thanks for doing the work.
Thank you, Lucille.
I'll go just because I'm going to have to jump off a little bit earlier than everybody else. Susan, thank you for your work. And yeah, I'm still a little blown out by my own, so I'm a little, but I just, and I also relate a lot as, so, I had 35 years in March. And I think about a similar thing of like where I was before I got sober, and then the journey of being sober. It also made me feel very grateful that I got sober young, so yeah, a lot of interconnection and also just sort of admiration always for the honesty and integrity and willingness you have to go wherever your work calls you. So thank you.
I just have always loved, Susan, when you share the fearlessness that you have about it. Right from, it was one of the first things I learned from you was that it is possible to go very dark, very deep, and come out whole. Yeah. So thank you for your work.
I think you just framed psychodrama, but we can talk about that later.
Susan, I wish my mum had even half or a quarter of the amount of courage and tenacity that you describe. And I can only imagine that you had to call on to do the work that you've done. So I feel a little bit full of envy, which is an uncomfortable feeling because I've got admiration for what you've shown that you've done, and I'm present to some envy and jealousy, maybe, and a missing of a mother. I wished I'd had a mother who was able to do the work that I could say, you've redeemed yourself. I'd love to be able to say that. So I suppose I have to think about what I need to do to redeem myself. But it's painful and growthful, I guess. So thank you.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
I just enjoy you so much, and it felt like amazing to see you go into that today and 40 years sober. I have a lot of pieces, but I think this that you said something about it's okay to be a handful. As long as you're paying attention, that really registered for me. Uh, as someone I think historically who has tried to like pretzel myself and is so trying to fit. And to hear you say that feels like, oh, for me, like a really gentle, funny, kind of cheeky reminder. And I think that's how I see you. So kind of raw and deeply human. And I just really enjoy and appreciate that about you. And that's how I see it in this space. So thank you.
Thanks.
I'll go for a minute. And as to Susan, this is congratulations on the 40. My anniversary is the only date that I look forward to every year. I don't care about any other date. So I definitely click with that 40, big 40. That's a powerful number there, that's for sure. And then I never seen anybody in recovery talking to the person I was still using. This is my first time ever, in my 33, I turned 62 this Sunday, by the way. And my 4-year girlfriend is moving to Spain on May 1st with her parents and family. So anyway, it was very, very, very interesting to hear you both, even though today I didn't think I was going to get much out of it because of my own defensive state. Definitely was exactly what I needed from both of you. So I want to thank you for demonstrating those things to me today. It certainly was a student today again. So thank you for the opportunity to be in this group. And good to meet you also, Lucille. Thank you.
Thanks, Miguel.
Oh, ladies, I just thought that both of those dramas were just hot fire, and I feel very honored to be in the mix. I feel a lot of love, especially with the kind of the DNA of recovery that Dr. Dayton was talking about. Susan, I just experienced you with like this grandmother energy and like an undertone of acceptance, and that feels really safe for me. I'll be sober 9 years in October, and I had zero intention of getting sober. And it was prompted by an overdose. So when you're speaking about losing your child, that really hits deeply for me. Especially because I'm a mama's boy. So I have just so much love for my mother. And I think one of the issues in our relationship was she stopped being a mother and started being a friend. And that's where kind of the enabling really, as a master manipulator, I was able to capitalize on that. And I'm grateful for the reminder of how valuable the love between a parent and child is. And just the last thing that came up for me was like, I found a journal from 2012 last weekend, and I didn't get sober until 2016. So I was clearly in the thick of a withdrawal as I was writing. And what was fascinating after I go through all the like, what's wrong with me? And I'm a shell of myself and I kind of pivoted to talk about how much I loved my mother, but yet everything seems to orient around me. I can't stop thinking about me, me, me. And it just reminded me like how a lot of times I forget to kind of wake up and smell the roses and be grateful for maybe how far I've come in my relationship with my family, but also just in the walk of recovery. So it's really refreshing to see and hopeful to see someone so far along, so thank you.
Yeah, while we were meeting, up across the top of the screen came in a text from Barry saying that the vet thinks the dog will be between 30 and 40 pounds. That's a lot better than 60 pounds, which is, yeah. So I hope that he's right. because we can deal with that weight. But I don't know. I mean, my first worry about this little puppy, 4 or 5 weeks ago, was that he wouldn't get big enough because he was so tiny that, a bird of prey on our land, you'd have to watch him for that because we've seen a bird take a rabbit. So, just, and the worry went from that. And when the DNA came in, I mean, my God, this dog is so many different things. And I won't bore you with the list, but none of them are tiny. So, all these different breeds. So, but, and he's a handful. I mean, as puppies are. So, but, yeah, so I'm feeling like whatever size he is, he's our boy. I mean, he's not going anywhere. So get used to it.
Any technical questions or comments on the work today? I mean, this is psychodrama on Zoom.
I want to note that just like I think with every art, like the more you master it, the more effortless it looks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so fascinating to me watch you and Laura drop herself in with just the minimal questions that you asked. Very simplistic, very soft, and she just went there immediately. I just noticed that and I was really fascinated, and it also was very obvious to me the expertise behind it. You made it look very simple, and I know like you've said this before that make it simple, but oftentimes it really seems super complex for me, and that's probably my own issue. But just noted that was really fascinating to see how easy it was for you.
I don't think it's so much an issue as it is just being new to the method, Josh. I think it's just all you're seeing is time in the saddle. But there are a couple of tips I can give exactly. First of all, the fact that you see it means you see it. That means you'll do it. Just if you just give yourself time, because if you can see it, that's almost doing it. But the two things I rely on, I know I've mentioned these a lot, but now they will make total sense. I rely on technique, and I always think of it as acting. I always think of Olivier as that comment of his. There's no room for words like genius in acting. Acting is a craft, and I see psychodrama as a craft. And it's a craft that, like beautiful, good acting, allows you to respect the craft so that those moments when the human breaks through, you get the kind of performances that Laurence Olivier can do because he's holding himself in the craft. So this craft was simply respecting, first of all, I want to get it right. Laura chose the drama. So that's the first, the protagonist chooses. Then my question was, do you want to talk to an empty chair or a role player? So I don't assume she wanted an empty chair. And do you have 2 chairs in your environment? Yes, I do. So there's our stage. And what I didn't say, where is that chair in relationship to you? I suppose because we're in a Zoom window, but I could have. And then I like a lot in Zoom, especially to say, do you want to show us this role? Now, you can do that just as easily on a stage in person. So you just spend a very little time in the beginning. And I do this often because in addiction treatment, I'd not have the luxury of having everybody reverse roles and show us the role. There wasn't time in the setup. The way I do it is, who do you want to talk to? What do you want to say? And then early in there, I'll reverse roles so that I can let somebody, show us who that person is. I I have found a seamless way of showing it is, may I interview you? And that's so easy to do. And on Zoom, it works just, you could see how well it works because we're limited by the window, but it will work just as well in your one-to-one in your group work in person, because there is something, and we should do this with each other, because there is something incredibly deep about being in the role, reversing roles into the role you've chosen. And Susan did the same thing, then spending time answering questions. Now, I want to tell you where I got that, but I want to tell you the techniques first. So our techniques are, what do you want to work on? How do you want to work on it? Through an empty chair or through a role player? Then what do you want to say too? I don't ask for previous explanation because I never had the luxury of having the time. And I don't want to get lost in words anyway. What do you want to say? And you see, that gets the embodiment going. This is what I know that's not talked about much, but I understand it because of interpersonal neurobiology. The role relationship will do the work. Let the techniques and the role relationship do the work. Because once you look at an empty chair and in that chair is a part of yourself, you are there. And the embodiment, it doesn't matter if it's a person representing it, as Lucille did so well for Susan, or if it's an empty chair and it's your projection, right? You see that person. And the projection of it in an empty chair is very valuable because you get a very clear sight of what you're projecting in life. So depend on the power and the gravity and the connection of the role relationship to do the work. And then Laura was saying, I feel like I want to change now. So I was really taking cues from her. Interestingly, when she said it, I was about to say reverse roles. So I was, and I stay very quiet because then I can stay very with somebody. The minute I question or go into the head, I curtail their experience. I worry about interfering with their, I think what the protagonist wants to say is, don't interfere with me. You don't understand. I've got gold in here. I'm in touch with the inner self, and I haven't been there in decades, so let me be here. But I think that is the experience of being in touch, and that we need to stand in awe of that moment, and we need to just let that moment, like yeast, keep growing. And if you err on the side of being a little boring, it took me decades to learn to trust the group and not try to perform for the group, but to trust that the group was seeing what I was seeing. And they generally are, and it makes the group members feel safe when I don't interrupt, because then they don't interrupt the connections they're making. So if you can see how simple the architecture I use is, I'm using the stage, I'm using the techniques of follow the lead of the protagonist. What do you want to work on? What do you want to say? I'm using the role reversal interview, a little bit of doubling, and I always ask permission. And that's pretty much the technique. And I want to let you know why I started doing the role reverse and doubling. Zerka, I trained with Zerka for many years, and Zerka used to do a version of when somebody was in role reversal, she'd say, Zerka had lost one arm. May I ask you a question? And, she had this proper Swiss, European, Dutch, and the person would go, yes. And why do you think? And, if Zerka Moreno is saying, why do you think? You answer. And why do you think your daughter brought you here today? And then, of course, you're going, what was that? Somebody's it's coming out. And people are dying to talk and share. So you can rely on that. Just prepare the stage and let them sing their song. But then that's about as far as it went with Zerka, right? Tell us that. And she didn't go farther. But one time we were breaking off in one of her trainings, and I was off with somebody who was in the training group with me, and I was reversed into my father's role. And my father is very Greek, and he was, he drank and he smoked cigars, and he was a very colorful man. So I spent what felt like days in that role. I think it was probably about 45 minutes. And I cannot describe the release and the wonder inside of me of being able to demonstrate the father I had, and to have somebody as curious about exploring him and allowing him to have the stage through me. It was divine. It was incredible. And afterwards I said, how did you do that? What were you doing? And she said, I guess it was just my journalism training, because she's a journalist. And it was just a light bulb went off inside of me. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, what? If you're a journalist, you just never stop asking questions. You just keep questioning for as long as somebody will keep answering. I would have kept answering for weeks. And she was so good at questioning, and she was a good journalist. And she took no attention. She made no commentary. She just kept getting me deeper into the role. It's Karen Carnabucci. So that's where I got this idea of role reversal interview. And I've used it ever since, and you see how beautifully it works. So I would say I want to respect your time. We're at time, but it is this easy if we let it be. And if we let the other people have the stage and we rely on our techniques. And then, as John Lennon, like, time for God to walk through the room. So on that note, it's my honor to be with all of you, as usual. And we'll see you in a month. And happy Sobriety 40th, and happy Welcome you, Seal, and hello, everybody. See you in a month. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Have fun with role reversal interview. Bye.
Wonderful.